Hello, YouTube. This is Universe Bear with the Wagatorium. Hope you're having a wagtastic day there. This is another Total War battle replay. Second time I'm recording it because the audio didn't work the first time. Anyway, I'm bringing my Greenskins against Zargag's Pirate Coast. It's a hard matchup for the Greenskins, but it's not one I don't enjoy playing. It's still quite fun and allows me to bring kind of a irregular army that I usually wouldn't bring against people. I guess I'll start off with my opponent's army over here, so you can see just a good, strong front line of zombie pirate deckhand mobs. They're not going to run away. They're going to keep that line strong for as long as they're alive. So pretty cheap, good choice, especially if you have some guns in the back, which of course he does. He has deck gunners and the ORR deck gunners. They have quite a long range. They do a lot of damage, armor piercing. I think they have some shield break as well, if I'm not mistaken. Lowers the missile parry of the shields. And these guys do minus 16 leadership, which is pretty bad for the Greenskins. He has a pirate gunnery mob and another one just on the side here. Both protected by zombie deckhand pole arm mobs, whatever you want to call them. And then he's got some depth guard back here, I guess, to provide some protection, but also in the back line so he can send them wherever he needs to support later on. He also has some animated Hulks back here. Animated Hulks are an interesting unit. I know they weren't used at all when these guys were first released, the Vampire Coast, but they've been buffed recently. I'm not sure if they're useful now or not. I just haven't really used them myself, but they are just so damn cool looking. Like, this guy's just got a squid for a head. Can't beat that. He does have some sneakery going on over here on the side. He's got 2 units of Mourngul's hiding in the forest. Looking if they can do some business on the Greenskins from the side. And then he does have good old Nautilus here with a pretty lean build. Summons, Race Storm, Invocation of Nahek, and some more summons. Summons were nerfed recently, so not as good as it used to be, but hey, he still has a giant cannon, so who can complain about that? I did bring the biggest and the baddest Grimgore over here. He's looking quite angry, coming forward with his giant axe. He's got his buddy, the Orc Shaman. I just have Here We Go and Fist of Gork with this guy, just to provide some buffs to my troops wherever they're needed. You can see I got a front line of Orc boys. These guys, they'll beat the zombies really well, and then they've got shields for anything in the back line. So I always find they're a good, cheap, versatile choice against the Vampire Coast. I do have the Night Goblin, the AP Loonies, who are unbreakable, and the Armor Sundering variant. Armor Sundering, probably not too important here, unless they get into a fight with the Depth Guard, but I usually like bringing them. These two are friends. They always come together. Some more Orc boys over there. I do have, of course, Savage Orc Big Guns, 2 units of them. In some previous games, these guys just beat the hell out of these out of Depth Guard, especially if they have some buffs from Warzag. They just really wreck Depth Guard, and they'll wreck chaff units, and they'll do pretty good damage to monstrous infantry and large targets. So really versatile. The only downside is they don't have shields. So you would never want to bring a front line, I think, against the Vampire Coast of these guys. But they're really useful as kind of a backup line. I can bring them in wherever I need to provide some really hard-hitting support. And I got a bunch of arrows in the back, 3 Goblin arrows, 1 being the Rusty Arrows, and the Orc Arrow Boys, 2 units of those guys. I find Goblins are more accurate. They have more volume of fire, so they're better at dealing with things like Mournguls that have low armor and a fair amount of units. And then the Orc Arrow Boys have more AP, so they're better at bringing down things like Count Noculus, big crabs, things like that. Then, of course, they're protected by Nasty Skulkers in case he has any hounds that want to get in. Maybe you could drop these guys. I haven't seen too many hounds being used by Vampire Coast in any of my recent matchups, so maybe they're kind of off meta these days. Sorry there. So let's get this thing underway. You can see he's opening up fire on my my Orc Arrow boy, or my regular boys without arrows, club boys. Doing some good damage, I guess, but it's a pretty cheap unit. He doesn't really need to attack those guys. He's going to go after my Goblin Archers, also a pretty cheap unit. Not too worried on that count. He is going to turn his attention. There we go. Savage Orc Big Guns. Grimgor and the Shaman are hiding in the forest, so this is really the highest value target out here, and he successfully recognized that, and he's turned his attention to it, so that's definitely a good call from him. I would definitely do the same thing, and they're very vulnerable to fire, so I think that's going to work out for him very well. You can see the mainline engagement's going to get underway here. Pop on the wag right before they engage, get that charge bonus. He's not bringing his units up, but they really don't have a very big charge bonus anyway, so I don't think it's a big deal. See, my charge is doing a little bit of damage, not too much, even with the wag. But it is what it is. They're going to start grinding these guys out pretty good. He is bringing in the animated Hulks here. Man, those guys look cool. Just pounding some Orc Arrow Boys back. They'll do quite well. You know, they have well, they only have 35 armor. For some reason, I thought they had more armor. Anyway, yeah, these Savage Orc Beacons, after taking the beating from the fire, just don't last very long. They're too beat up before getting into combat. But you can see everything else is doing pretty well. These zombie deckhand mobs are all crumbling. And I managed to slip, because I had such a wide line, I could slip people in the back here. Get on his gunnery mobs, and his pole deckhand mobs came out in response. Totally forgot I got these skirmishers in the forest, so I had them hidden. They're coming out to take out his ranged here, and you can see that they got on them pretty successfully. But his Mourngul's are coming into my back line, so they're going to start getting into my range, so a little tit for tat there. He's getting on the Orc Arrow Boys. At least the Orc Arrow Boys could fight back a little bit, although they didn't really do any damage. It just kind of got wrecked on the side there. Luckily, these Nasty Skulkers were able to catch this group, and then this Nasty Skulker were able to catch this group, and all my arrow fire has really turned on these guys. I want to bring them down as fast as possible, because with their regeneration, with the hunger, if I don't focus them down, they're just going to do way too much damage against infantry, which is pretty much my whole army. See Grimgor's in here having a great time, just chopping these guys up one by one. I find he's really good against monstrous infantry. He always seems to just one-hit monstrous infantry. Seems to be a little bit of a niche for him. You can see these Savage Orc Biggins. I pop Fist of Gork on them, and they're going to be doing good damage against these Depth Guard. Especially with Fist of Gork. They're probably going to win that fight. And the Depth Guard were fighting something else before, maybe probably these Orc Boys. So they got a fair amount of kills, but now that they're in with the Savage Orc Biggins, they're probably not going to last too long. See over here, his animated Hulks actually did a pretty good job with support to clear out my Orc Boys, even though Orc Boys are only 450 gold. But they almost took no damage, so they're going to come in here and provide some more value, so they're definitely doing okay. And the Mourngul's are coming up here to provide some more support. Not sure if that's a good idea. Maybe he should have kept going down the line for my my archers, because that's really my main counter right now to the Mourngul's. The only other thing that could really do some damage would be the Savage Orcs, but they're busy cleaning up the Depth Guard over here. You can see the Balance of Power is really starting to go in my favor, as I've cleared out all his chaff units. I've gotten to his back line pretty good. You can see these deck gunners about to drop, and his other group are gone. All he's really got is this gunnery mob, which I think is summoned, so they're going to disappear pretty soon. Cleaned up this side, Depth Guard. They've killed a fair amount of the Savage Orc Biggins, but of course you gotta remember the Biggins are cheaper than the Depth Guard. And they're not even AP dedicated, so they do quite well in that matchup. You can see his Mourngul's are dropping, all his chaff is dropping. Noctilus is running out of ammo, but he's doing okay health-wise. I haven't really been focusing him very much. Just killing everything around him to get army losses. He's gonna pop a pirate deckhand mob summon here to go after the Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, I guess. Probably should have focused more on my back line, because I think they've been doing quite a big amount of damage to his monstrous infantry. He's going to call it there, as he doesn't think he can win. And he's probably right at that point anyway. So definitely a good game from Galzag over here. I liked his Mourngul ambush. I think he should have kept moving them down the line to get at my archers a little bit more, because that was what was countering them and what eventually took them down. His deck gunners were definitely on target with against my Savage Orc Biggins, but you need to keep these pole arms in the back to protect against my light cav. But I kept them in the back for a fair amount of time, so you probably thought I didn't have anything back there. which is why I guess you always want to keep them back unless you really need to bring them up. His Death Guard did good against the Orc boys, but once they met the Savage Orc Biggins, they kind of met their match. You can see Noctilus got a ton of kills. He was just kind of shooting all day. I'm not really sure what he was shooting at. Probably a mixture of Savage Orc Biggins and a bunch of chaff. Maybe my backline too. But he got a ton of kills. He was doing good work. The animated Hulks actually did pretty decent. Cheaper than Mourngul, so I guess kind of happy middle ground there between those two units. On my side, you could see the Night Goblins did great. They usually do, I find. Orc boys did a fair amount of kills. You know, they're just killing zombies, so they're going to get a good amount of kills. Night Goblin Squid Hoppers were successfully able to get into that back line for Spider Riders. Not so successful. I think they got pushed back by the pole arms. And Grimgor only got 9 kills, but he was really going after the monstrous infantry the most time. So I think those are mostly Mournguls for the most part. So Galzag, a good game for sure. I hope we run into the ladder again and we can have a little bit of a rematch there. All right, guys, take care.